Hi, good morning, and welcome to the ORourke Report. We're a little late this week, but had a lot of things going on. But let's jump right into it. We're going to talk about Jersey this morning and this most recent episode. Looking forward to Sunday's final, penultimate. This is why it all blew up. This is why the producer said we are at a major, major impasse. And So this week's episode had a lot of, I thought, really funny and touching stuff in it. It also had another one of Teresa's feeble attempts to prove how Marge has been out to get her. Well, Marge hasn't been out to get her and at any greater level than she and Jen Aiden have been out to get all the other cast members. Or let's go back to, the beginning here, how you, Teresa, have been out to get Melissa Gorga, your sister-in-law, which has always been the original problem. This is why I've always said that Teresa was the original aggressor by being dismissive and rude to her brother's sister, demanding that the brother uh, um, put Teresa before his wife. That's not the way it works, Teresa. This is a story as old as time. One of your siblings marries somebody. You may not like whomever they've married, but that's who they've married. They have created their own family, their own nuclear family. And in this case, there are three children in the Gorga, three Gorga children. Um, so no, Teresa, you take a back seat to that. And this is something, like I said, as old as time. There's plenty of people in the same boat you are, but the smart people learn how to accept it and to embrace their in-law. She never did. She was always the aggressor. When it turns out her brother and his wife were going to be on the show, this enraged Teresa, and she's never gotten over that rage. And the rage is what she's used as her justification for everything she did. The one that jumps to mind is putting the rumor about her being a stripper and this and that. I mean, it goes on and on and on. She feels fully justified in what she's done, and which is why this will never, ever resolve. And which is why I believe I would like to see the producers retain some of the cast members. I think after this week's episode, is there really any way you can get rid of Marge? I mean, she really, that floral arrangement was in the pantheon, right up there in the top of some of the housewife antics that. It was just perfect. It was the perfect response to what was going on. But I'm getting ahead of the game. Let's go back. So today's or this week's episode really concentrated on three things I thought that were very telling. One was Teresa was going to call together all these people that she perceives as being on her side, which literally is only two people, Jackie Goldschneider, who has turned on her other friends because I think she perceived Teresa as being her ticket and getting back into being a full-time housewife. And Jen Naden, who has been her attack lapdog since day one. She invited the fence sitters being Danielle Cabral, who I don't think is very much of a fence sitter actually, but Teresa doesn't dare cross her yet because she needs numbers, and Dolores, who has been a fence sitter since day one. She also invited Jen Fessler, but Marge was able to convince Jen that, boy, by you showing up there and listening to this, whatever it is that, Teresa's going to come up with, it's really kind of slapping my face. Which, I got to say, Marge is right on that. And Jen, oh my God, miraculously did the right thing. She pulled out. Made me like her a little bit more. So anyway, Teresa has this get together that she is going to, when everybody finds out, their heads are going to spin. Well, long story short, nobody's head spun. There was nothing to find out. Teresa is now crying on social media as she vacations somewhere in Europe, putting out heavily photoshopped, manipulated photos of her in bikinis. Um, and she's crying that they didn't show. They had all the proof, and it didn't. It was cut out of the show. Well, if you had anything that was compelling and true, believe me, it would have been shown. But you probably put out something that was libelous and hearsay and all sorts of other uh, terms that didn't pass the legal smell test. And as a result, they ended up on the cutting room floor. Rightfully so, I imagine. So anyway, it was a wah wah. It was a non-event. Didn't really say anything. Teresa trotted out her erstwhile attorney, one James Leonard, who Marge, because Marge has got the best little clips. Marge, in her confessional, says, "Listen, his law office is across the street from a meth clinic, kind of like Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad. My attorney is on Madison Avenue. Do the math." So, and he tries to make believe he's not Saul Goodman, but I think he is Saul Goodman. So anyway, the highlight of the whole get together was the doorbell rings. Oh, they all look around. They look in the security camera. Oh, there's somebody out there with flowers. Oh, it looks like a funeral arrangement. Somebody died. And Teresa, toddles out to the front door. Front door opens up. God, big floral display, all lilies. And the card says, "Dear Teresa and James, so sorry on the loss of your dignity. Love, 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 Marge." And she just shut down the show with that. She shut down the whole get together. And it was really the perfect response to what Teresa was imagining was going to be her the final say on the whole controversy. Which by the way, the controversy is that Marge was talking to Louis' ex-fiance, who had a current court case, who had a court case trying to get a restraining order against Louis, and she didn't prevail in the courts. And of course, Teresa is somehow claiming this was a huge victory for Louis. Really? Your huge victory is the fact that you didn't get a restraining order against you? I'm not sure if that's really as big a victory as you think it is. So anyway, the big reveal is that Marge has spoke to this ex-fiance, and as Melissa Gorga pointed out in Watch What Happens Live on after the show, she goes, everybody has spoken to her. These people reached out to everybody. They wanted, and by people, and I'm doing plural, there's much more out there besides his ex-fiance. There's ex-wives, ex-girlfriends, all have huge red flags about this guy, Louis. More on him later. So I don't understand, Teresa, why you think that's a huge reveal. Like you weren't exposed this summer as you and Jen Aiden using certain bloggers as your mouthpieces, as your mouthpiece. I just don't know. This is the thing about Teresa. She always thinks she's going to fool you. She's going to come up with the right excuse. It's like very seventh grade. It's very seventh grade that you can make all these accusations, and if the other one doesn't have a comeback, that means you won. Well, don't the accusations have to be true in order for you to win? They don't have to be true in Teresa's mind. All you have to do is make them, and if the other person shuts up, that means you win. And that, to me, that is so reminiscent of junior high. It shows that lack of intellectual maturity that Teresa hasn't gained yet in life, and I don't know if she ever will. she's certainly not going to gain it if she stays on this show doing the stuff that she does. My 2 cents, oh my God, I'm going to have all the tree stumpers coming after me. So anyway, that was the get together on that. Uh, Marge won the day. Teresa can make all the claims she wants to, but if there was true, verifiable, non-libelous information that had been presented in this great conclave, the producers and the editors certainly would have shown it. And they didn't, which means there was a lot of crap out there. Other thing that happens is, and this is one of the reasons I like Jersey, is I love when the men get together. When the men get together, it's usually kind of funny. I mean, there is some real seventh grade hijinks in it, like the time they waxed that poor John Buddha's just reminiscent of 40-year-old virgin. And so anyway, the men get together, but of course they're split into camps. So you see the Joe Gorga camp, which is Joe Gorga, John Fuda, Frank Catania, Joe Benigno, Jen Fessler's husband, and Danielle's husband would have been there, but there was a conflict. And they're going to have steaks on the barbecue, and they're going to do shots, and they're going to have a card game. And then you got to Louis' Boys Night Out, which are the hostages, Bill Aden and Paulie, who I'm liking less and less, mainly because he went to that party. That's just me. I shouldn't say anything. Because apparently I have a lot of Irish viewers. Well, thank you so much for including me in your viewing. According to the analytics that I get a lot of viewers from Dublin and Cork. So thank you very much for watching the ORourke Report. I really appreciate it. So I'm sorry to say what I'm saying about Paulie. I'm not too much of a fan. So anyway, we cut to Louis' place where the two men, along with I think Louis brings his father and his son along as well. They're in the kitchen, and then Louis says, "Oh, come on," and he takes them to his studio. Evidently, he's got a whole studio somewhere in his house. I'm guessing Teresa's money paid for it. That has camera and professional lighting and everything, and oh fun, oh joy, he is going to make it. He's going to make the men make devotional tapes to their wife. Well, you can see Paulie and Bill Aden go like this. So Louis starts it off, and he makes another one of his unctuous little pleas to the camera about how much he loves his wife. Oh, they're making these tapes because all the women are going to go on a cast trip to a house up in the Berkshires, which is not Bluestone Manor. I will just warn you, it is not Bluestone Manor. But they're all about to leave to go up on this cast trip, which will have everybody in it. So, so Louis thinks this is a great idea to do a devotional tape to their wife, so they can watch this while they're on their retreat. So, Louis does this unctuous, this creepy little devotional tape, which he's done a bunch of them for various different women over the years. I guess we've seen a couple of them online. And then he gets Paulie to give his, and Paulie's like, Dolores, I hope you have fun on your trip, and I'll see you when you get back. Bill, I think, was already halfway into his cups, and he does the same thing. Hello, Jennifer, darling. And he's just dripping with sarcasm. I hope you have a wonderful time. And it was just too much. Cut back to the Gorga house where the hijinks are in full swing. The guys are doing shots of, now I don't know how this is liquid, but they kept saying it was bone marrow. And shortly, and then they sit down at the card table. Well, very shortly after, John Fuda appears to be having a pretty serious allergic reaction to something. Who knows what it is? I don't know if it was the shots they were doing or whatever, but his lips are puffing out, his face is puffing out, his eyes are closing, he's having difficulty breathing, and he it tries to macho man it out. He goes, "Oh, I don't need anything. Don't call." Well, thank God for Joe Benigno. He's the only adult in the room. He starts saying, "We need the paramedics here, and we need them now." He goes to the producers. He goes, "Get them on the phone. We need to get them here." Thank God they listened to Joe Benigno. Paramedics pull up into the driving ambulance, maybe a couple of cop cars, because I think this is probably a common occurrence when things are taping in New Jersey, that the cops are called to one house or one restaurant or another. They come in, they give him, I don't know if they gave him, that shot that you can do for anaphylactic shock, but they certainly gave him some Benadryl. They could see his throat was opening up again, his face was, some of the swelling was going down. So it was really a very, very good thing Joe Benigno put his foot down and made them call somebody. So, and before the paramedics and the cops leave, Joe Gorga feeds them all these beautiful steaks that they just did on the grill. I mean, a typical Gorga get together. So I kind of enjoyed it. Like I said, I really like that Jersey does that with the husbands. The other show that does it, and it's one of my favorite shows, Married to Medicine. I love the husbands in Married to Medicine. They get together, they have a great time. This is a much more mature cast, even though they're up to their usual hijinks. But whenever there's a conflict with that cast, they actively work to resolve with sincere apologies, if there's an apology that needs to be had. A sincere analysis of what actually happened. There's none of this seventh grade making things up and just calling people's names. And of course, I credit that to really the spiritual head of the show, which is Dr. Jackie. She is phenomenal, and her maturity, trickles down through the whole cast. And when those husbands get together, they have a good time. So anyway, Jersey does the same thing. I love when those husbands get together, and when it's at the Gorga house, something's always going to happen. So I got two other small things before. Oh, um, talking about that house up in the Berkshires. Well, as they find out, I think the day of the supposed Marge takedown in Teresa's kitchen, which was, a nothing burger. According to Loris, the house the venue they were going to be visiting, burnt down to the ground, down to the foundation. So everyone kind of took that as or as Teresa said, "Oh, that's an ohm. That's an ohm." And Danielle Cabral's looking at her. "Oh, do you mean omen, Teresa?" So typical, right? So anyway, two little small things. Let's go on very small to the Olympics. In my mind, it was a battle. It was going to be a battle to the death between the two divas that. Cat, that's my. Okay, that's over with. Sorry about that. These are two performers who are over the top when it comes to their fans. Oh, they bless and they cry and they wave their hands, and nothing's more important than my fans. So I thought to myself, well, gee, who's going to outdo who? Well, let's just put it this way. Celine Dion had Lady Gaga for lunch and did not leave a crumb. Her performances to her crowds as she went into the hotels, and she even went to the Louvre and was pictured looking at the Mona Lisa with a tear trickling down her cheeks, and she just was phenomenal. And then of course her at the Eiffel Tower in the rain, live. Gaga's performance was taped live. She just knocked it out of the park, and what a powerhouse. I don't think I could ever expect to see anybody best Lady Gaga, but she certainly did. So anyway, that is all I have for today. I am so looking forward to Sunday's penultimate Jersey episode. I'm already on record. It is. I hope the producers do the right thing, which in my mind is you let Teresa go, you let Nene go, you let Teresa go, you let the whole New York come from Mona go. Come on, you can simply uh, let Teresa sail off into the sunset, especially since my mind, she was absolutely at fault and is the reason this contentious ugliness has gone on as long as it has. So anyway, if you like what you saw, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification button. All those things help me with those YouTubian overlords, with my analytics. It also tells me all my fans in Dublin. Thank you again, guys. I really appreciate it. And I will look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks again.